Hello, welcome back to the Grape Explorer. Thanks for stopping by today. Today's quiz is all about winemaking. That's the processes and production methods that take place after the grapes have been harvested and before it arrives in bottles on our shelves for us to enjoy and consume. If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is the Grape Explorer. We do wine education here along with product reviews and lots of wine tastings. So if that's your thing, consider subscribing. Now yes, winemaking, 10 questions. The challenge here wasn't necessarily the questions themselves, it was trying to get some incorrect answers into the mix that would make things perhaps a little bit trickier. So let's see how we get on. We're going to start off with question 1, which is all about imparting particular flavour characteristics into wine. Some winemakers choose to use oak planks in their wine where barrels are not available. What is the term that is used for these planks? Is it A, wine logs, B, staves, C, vanilla sticks, or D, kindling? Difficult, like I say, to come up with incorrect answers. These oak planks, which will reveal the right answer shortly, are about this long and they're actually put inside of the steel tanks where there aren't oak barrels available. So if anyone here has guessed answer B, staves, well done, that's absolutely correct. Okay, now we're going to move on to question 2, which is all about quite a scientific process that takes place for certain wines and the way that they are made. Question 2, malolactic fermentation converts what type of acid into lactic acid? Is it A, hydrochloric acid, B, malic acid, C, nitric acid, or D, sulfuric acid? So this is a process that I've actually done a video on before. I'll put a link to that down below. It's all about converting harsher acids into softer acids. And so anyone who has guessed malic acid, you're absolutely right, correct, well done. So we're going to move on to question 3 now and check out your knowledge of another very specific process in winemaking. What process speeds up the removal of particles such as yeast cells from wine? Is it A, fining, B, pumping over, C, depth filtration, or D, disgorging? Perhaps a little bit of a trickier one. It was the recent topic of one of my videos on vegan wine, so if anyone's checked that out, you'll know that I talked about a couple of very specific processes. So if anyone here has guessed A, fining, you're absolutely right. Question 4 is all about white wine specifically, and the fermentation process in the creation of white wines. So what is the optimum temperature for white wine fermentations? Is it A, 40 degrees centigrade? Is it B, between 25 and 35 degrees centigrade? Is it C, 5 degrees centigrade? Or is it D, between 12 and 22 degrees centigrade? This is really typical of something you'd get asked in a Wine and Spirit Education Trust exam, and the WSET, particularly at level 3, spend a lot of time talking about winemaking processes. Now of course there are 2 answers here that you can eliminate immediately simply because they are very specific in nature. There will of course be a temperature range with which white wine fermentations take place rather than cranking up the dial to something specific. So it comes down to, is it the higher or the lower of the 2 temperature ranges that are left. For those of you that have gone for the lower temperature range, answer D, well done, you're absolutely right. Question 5 is a question that's more generally associated with a red wine making technique. The process of punching down is used for what purpose? Is it A, to extract colour and tannin? Is it B, to improve the acidity? Is it C, to increase the alcohol content of the wine? Or is it D, to make a drier style of wine? Now punching down is a very specific process in winemaking whereby you would have a large instrument like a paddle and you'd actually be pressing down on the cap of the wine, and the way that this is done is to extract colour and tannin in wine. So if you've gone for answer A, you're absolutely right. Moving on now to question 6. This is a sparkling wine question. Which of the following is not a sparkling wine method? Is it A, the traditional method, B, the tank method, C, the tannin method, or D, the transfer method? Perhaps a little bit obvious on the face of it. Traditional method would be for something like champagne. Tank method would be something like prosecco. Cava again is done in like a kind of traditional method. There is one more recognised method here, which is the transfer method, making the odd one out in this case. And the correct answer, even though it's incorrect, C, the tannin method. Question 7 is another very specific, quite scientific approach to winemaking. Placing whole uncrushed bunches of grapes into vats and filling the vats with carbon dioxide or CO2 is known by which name? Is it A, carbonic maceration? Is it B, carbonic maturation? Is it C, carbonic fermentation? Or is it D, carbonic extraction? Like I said at the beginning of the video, harder to come up with incorrect answers than it is for the correct one. This is another topic I've done a specific video on, link again in the description below to that one. And in this case, the correct answer is A, it's carbonic maceration. It's the process of filling the vats with CO2, and intracellular fermentation takes place, where the fermentation is taking place inside the berries and then they split to produce the juice. It gives off a lot of interesting flavours, things like banana, kirsch, as well as bubblegum. Check it out if you want to learn more about that particular process. Question 8. Now we had our white wine fermentation temperatures. We're now going to move on to our red wine temperatures. So what is the red wine fermentation temperature? Is it A, 15 degrees centigrade? Is it B, between 10 and 18 degrees centigrade? Is it C, between 20 and 32 degrees centigrade? Or is it D, 45 degrees centigrade? Now, if you were paying attention during the white wine question, and I'm sure you were, there were a couple of answers that were immediately discounted because they were very specific temperatures, which just led us to our range of red wine fermentation temperatures. Now, interestingly, red wine generally ferments at a higher temperature than white wine, and that may be an indicator as to the right answer here, which is C. Now we're going to move on to sherry and a production method that's very specific to sherry. So what is the name of a famous sherry maturation process? Is it A, the Jerez method? Is it B, the Solera system? Is it C, the oxidative aging system? Or is it D, the Spanish system? This is very specific to sherry, and it's a process whereby there are a number of barrels involved, and the wines generally move through the barrels to the bottom, where they're then sort of extracted to be bottled, and it means it creates quite a consistent approach to the winemaking. It's from Jerez, but that's not the answer. The answer here is the Solera system. And finally, question number 10, it's come around really quick already. Oak barriques can hold up to how many litres of wine? Is it A, 125 litres, B, 175 litres, C, 225 litres, or D, 275 litres? So the specific term here is barriques. Barriques hold a very specific amount of liquid in them. For those of you that have guessed C, 225 litres, correct, well done, chalk yourself up another score and tot up your final score. I hope that you found this quiz about winemaking useful. As you already know, there are lots of quizzes available on this channel, but please comment down below, let me know how you got on, and please make some suggestions for future quizzes you'd like to see. I'm the Grape Explorer, I'll see you again soon. Cheers.